Pushpa?
අයියා මම ටිකක් අසනීප වුණානේ.
ඇයි?
ඒ කියන්නේ මගේ නංගිලා ඇවිල්ලා හිටියානේ.
ඔව්.
එයින් එක්කෙනෙකුට තිබුණා නිකන් සෝත්‍රෝටුයි හැම්බෙරිස්සාව එහෙම. ඒක එයා හිතුවා ඇලර්ජි කියලා. බලනකොට මට ඒක බෝ වුණා. ඒ පාර ඉතින් දැන් නම් හරි ඉතින් තාමත් හැබැයි සෙම වගේ තියෙන වුණාට දැන් අමාරුකම් ගිහිල්ලා දැන්.
කොවිඩ් නෙමෙයි නේද?
නෑ කොවිඩ් නෙමෙයි.
එහෙනම්
මේ නිකන් මේ හෙඩ් නිකන් සයිනස් වගේ.
මම හිතුවා ඒත් අද ඔයගලන් අරේ මේ රාලේ පන්සලේ මොනවා හරි ඇති කියලා.
ඔව් ඒක තියෙනවා. දැන් ඇත්තටම මේ වෙලාවේ ඒගොල්ලෝ මේ අර කටින මේ ඉන්විටේෂන් එක දෙනවා මේ වෙලාව. ඉතින් මට ඉතින් බණක් එහෙම නෙමෙයි මේ වෙලාවේ තියෙන්නේ. ඉතින් මං ඉතින් ඒක අහන්න ඕනේ නෑනේ මම ඉතින් නේද ඒගොල්ලෝ ඉන් පර්සන් ඇවිල්ලා අද පන්සලට එනවා මං හිතන්නේ 30ක් විතර ඉන්නවා අද පන්සලේ ඇවිල්ලා. පර්සන් සීලුත් ගත්තා. 6 දෙනෙක්ද 8 දෙනෙක්ද සීල් ගත්තා ගිහිල්ලා. අඩ්මිනි සලමනුත් ගියා. මේ ඉතින් අපි Zoom එකෙන් ඉන්නවා ටික දෙනෙක්. හැබැයි ඒ ඉන්වයිට් කරන කපල් එක ඒ කටිනේ කරන්නේ මේ කපල් එකක් යන් කපල් එකක්. ඒගොල්ලොත් ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්න ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ යාළුවෝයි අද ඔක්කොම. දැන් මේ වෙලාවේ
අදනම් ඔය දෙන්නම නැති වෙයි කියලා. උන් පද්මිනී වයි.
නෑ පද්මිනී නම් පන්සලේ. ඉතින් මම නම් හිතුවා ඉතින් මට ඒකට වැඩි
නෑ ආයක. අද මුට්ටි අඩු ඇති මං හිතන්නේ.
ඔව් ඕනම්. නිමාල්කවත් පේන්නේ නෑ නේද? 56යි.
ඔව් තව ටිකක් වෙලා තියෙනවානේ බලමු.
ඔව් බලමුනේ. කලබලයක් නෑනේ අපිට. දැන් මල්ලිකා කරනවාද අයියා මේ next week උත් කොහමද?
මම ඔයාලට ඉන්වයිට් කරන්නම් next week වලට. ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් Sunday යා කරයි. ඊට පස්සේ Monday ඉඳලා ඔයාට මම ඉන්වයිට් කරන්න කියන්නේ.
ඕකේ.
Monday ඉඳලා.
හරි. Monday. කාන්තිලාව එහෙම ආවද පන්සලට නැද්ද?
මං ආවට පස්සේ ආවේ නෑ තාම. මල්ලිකා කිව්වා එයා ඇහුවයි කියලා අපේ වැඩසටහනක් එහෙ කරපු.
කොහෙද? නිව්යෝක්? මේක මම මේ මගේ Facebook එකට දැම්මනේ අහන්න කියලා හැමෝටම. ඒක වෙන්නේ නැති අහන්න නැත්තේ නා.
දන්නේ
වෙන්නේ. මම අර හැම එකම ඩිස්කෂන්ස් හිටන් දැම්මා මේ වෙකේ. මං හිතුවා ඉතින් ඉන්දිරා හැම ලංකාවේ ඉන්නවනේ. මේ ඉන්දිරා කැමති වෙයි කියලා ඉන්දිරාට තමයි මම වැඩියෙන්ම කෙරුවේ. ඉන්දිරායි මගේ තින්නවා මේ කසිස්ලා නිකන් මේ බනහන ලංකාවේ ඒගොල්ලෝ මම පද්මිනීටත් හැබැයි කිව්වා. එයා ඉතින් ඔය Facebook එකේ නෑ එයාගේ හස්බන්ඩ් ඉන්නවනේ සොලමන්. එයාට කියලා බලන්න කියලා.
හරි. නිමල්ක ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්නවා.
නිමල්කාව ඔව්.
Little more time.
2 more minutes.
Yeah, we'll wait and see.
අයියා රාලේ පන්සල ගැන දන්නේ කොහමද? කවුද කිව්වේ?
නේ මං ඉතින් හිතුවා දැන් ඇසල් පොයා මේ අද වස් හිටු දවසනේ.
අද හැමදාම කරනවද? ඕකේ.
සමහරු ඊයේ වස් හිටියේ අද සමහරු.
රියල් පොයේ මේ සුමානේද? ඒක වෙන්නේ.
අද ඊයේ.
Hi Nimarka.
Good to see you. Then let's start then. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Friends, today we'll be studying the Magandiya Sutta from the Majjhima Nikaya. This sutta deals with a certain discussion between the Buddha and a Brahmin called Magandiya. He was a wanderer, that is also an ascetic, right? A wanderer who went from place to place, who called the Buddha Bhuna Huno. Bhunahuno, Bhunahuno, which means a destroyer of growth, the killer of embryos, and abortionist. So you can imagine the Buddha also had many opponents who had all kinds of conceptions, perceptions about the Buddha. So this is what this man had. Because Magandiya believed that a variety of experiences through the senses, if pursued without any restraint, would result in growth and accomplishment. So what he thought was that if people were allowed to, use their senses in any way they like, that would lead to some kind of growth and accomplishment. This is a vipallasa or perversion, for it means that one is conceited by youth, because he thinks that he is going to, this man is young and he thought that he was going to be young all the time. It's known as Yobbana mother. Buddha, on the other hand, teaches the Dhamma for the restraint of the senses, for it brings peace, calm, tranquility, and stillness of both body and mind. When Buddha asks him, now he has met the Buddha, and Buddha asks him why he thinks in the manner that he thinks, that no restraint is a good thing. Magandiya says that it is recorded in their discourses. He was not a follower of the Buddha. So not a disciple of the Buddha. So he thinks that in the discourses of their religion, all this was mentioned. First, Buddha speaks impersonally about someone who enjoyed sensual pleasures earlier, that she or he wishes for, desires, is agreeable, likable, connected with sensual desires, and provokes lust. Then, now earlier he engaged in these things, thinking that they were going to bring him happiness. Later, after understanding their real nature, their origin, how they come to be, then how they disappear, the disappearance, gratification, what kind of gratification or happiness or some kind of mental happiness, physical happiness, he after understanding the gratification, the danger, then all the, later on you find the danger of that and the escape from them, removes the fever and thirst for sensual pleasures and stays with inward peace and calm. So now Buddha is talking about a person who has given up this kind of behavior. Now Buddha asked Magandiya what he thinks. Why he thinks that, asks what he would say to such a person who has, given up. Earlier he was involved in them, then he gave up understanding their, consequences. Magandiya, Buddha asked Magandiya what he would say to that person. And Magandiya says, nothing. Because you see, he does not agree with that. Then the Buddha speaks of his own personal experience. When he lived with his family, he had 3 palaces for the 3 seasons, and every kind of sensual pleasure, such as forms, sounds, odors, flavors, and tangibles, that is touch, that one could wish for or desire. Buddha had all that before, right, as Siddhartha. The Buddha says that having seen and understanding these sensual pleasures as they actually are, he abandoned craving for them. So that means that he too had craving for them, but understanding their true nature, he gave them up, removed the fever for them, and was able to abide without thirst, with a mind inwardly at peace. But he says that he sees other beings who are not free from lust for sensual pleasures, and he does not envy them or delight in them. Why? Because the Buddha takes delight in a wholesome state that even surpasses divine bliss. Divine bliss means the bliss that Devas and Brahmas, those beings have. So Buddha says the state that he is in, the delight that he has, the wholesome state, is even more than the divine state. This is a reference to the 4th jhana that leads to arahantship. What is the real nature of these worldly pleasures? They are impermanent. They change and do not last. They cannot be possessed as one's own, though we think we own them. We think we own everything, about us. But if you really look at it, you will see you don't own any of those things. They also get decayed and get destroyed. When one gets addicted to them and one does not get what one desires, will get depressed, irritated, comparing oneself with others, will start envying, and even anger may arise with the increase in craving. All this ends in a general deal of suffering. You see, a great deal of suffering. The origin of sensual desire is contact, which brings together the object, the sense faculty, and consciousness. For instance, the ear, the sound, and consciousness, ear consciousness. The pleasure and joy that arises dependent on these 5 sense faculties is the gratification. You see, that is the gratification. These same sensual pleasures cause danger to one who is going out to earn a living, for she or he has to face the weather changes. Suddenly there is rain, suddenly there is snow or something, you see. So all that has to be faced. Or risk by accident, or losing one's job, or is underpaid, or one's property is destroyed by fire, water, or thieves, etc. Now, these are some of the things that can face an ordinary lay person who is struggling to earn a living. Due to these same sensual pleasures, quarrels with neighbors or relatives, siblings, friends, spouses erupt, and they can end in death or deadly suffering. Even wars between countries are caused by sensual pleasures. Have you ever thought of that? One who seeks delight in these sense faculties seeks delight in suffering and is not freed from suffering. For many deluded people, getting involved in sensual pleasure is the only way they think they can find happiness. And they sometimes take to drinking alcohol for happiness, or taking drugs, or engaging in sexual misconduct as a means of forgetting their sorrows. But these experiences only increase their suffering, for they may fall ill, or they may end up losing their wealth, position, etc. The escape from these is by the removal of desire and lust. That is by direct knowledge and full understanding. Now, for example, if we take a sense faculty like the eye, one should know the eye. What is this eye? We only know it by seeing it in the mirror, right? But we don't know exactly what the eye is. Then the eye consciousness, eye contact, and whatever feeling arises with this contact as condition, whether pleasant, painful, or neutral. By knowing and understanding exactly as they arise, as it happens, if you understand how did this come about, then you will get a direct knowledge. If one does not view them as I, me, mine, myself, and does not cling to them, does not get agitated when they change, does not mind when there is no delight, there is no infatuation or bondage. You see, when you are not involved in it in this way with desire, then there is no bondage, right? When lust arises for a form, it could be a animate form, or it could be an inanimate form like a car or something like that, right? When it arises for a form, one understands there is lust in me. Then, when you understand that there is lust in you, then the Dhamma is directly visible. You can see it directly, then and there. Immediate, at once. Inviting one to come and see, right? So it invites you to see, there you are. Now you are having lust. What are you going to do about it? To be personally experienced by the wise, not by the foolish. Then one is able to let go of that same feeling. Otherwise, you cling on to it, right? The Buddha presents many similes to prove to the deluded Magandiya how he is holding on to a wrong view regarding sensual pleasures. The first one is about a leper with sores and blisters in his limbs, devoured by worms, and by scratching worsens the pain as well as the sickness. We too, by attaching to sensual pleasures, bring more pain and suffering on ourselves. The Buddha continues, if his friends and relatives find a doctor to treat that leper and cure him, he would be happy, independent, and go wherever he likes. Now earlier he must have been housebound because he couldn't go. Then if he sees another leper devoured by worms and scratching his wounds and burning his body over a charcoal pit, would that cured man envy this leper? The Buddha asks Magandiya, and he answers, no. So he's becoming a little flexible, right? So Buddha says that as he has found a greater delight. Now when I say the Buddha, he has found, that means the Buddha has found, right? The Buddha has found a greater delight in wholesome pleasure, like the jhanas. So the Buddha does not envy those low sensual pleasures and those who enjoy them, right? Again, says the Buddha, if the cured man is dragged towards a burning charcoal pit by some others, would he like it? Or would he try to escape? So Magandiya answers, he would not like it and he would try to escape. So Buddha asks, why is that? Now earlier he would have been, burning himself with the charcoal pit. Now why is he wanting to escape? Magandiya says, because the fire is painful to the touch, hot and scorching. Then Buddha asks, now remember these are very, very important questions and important answers. So then Buddha asked, is the fire hot and scorching only now, or was it so even before? Magandiya answered, it is now painful and scorching, and previously too it was so. So there was no difference in the pit of charcoal, right? Then the Buddha firmly points out that sensual pleasures too are very similar, for they are painful to touch, hot and scorching now, and they were so in the past, and they will be so in the future too, though people have a mistaken perception of them as pleasant. People think of them as pleasant, however much they may burn by these sensuous desires. At this point, the Buddha uttered this verse, the greatest of all gains is health. Nibbana is the highest bliss. Now these are only 2 lines of the verse. Magandiya agrees, imagining that the Nibbana Buddha is referring to is the same as what he thinks as Nibbana. That is what? Bodily happiness. For he rubbed his limbs with his hands, right? He rubbed his limbs with his hands and said, this is that health. This is Nibbana. For I am now healthy and happy and nothing afflicts me. Now, how many people are there in this world who are like that? So, using a simile of a blind man who is cheated by a dishonest trader, the Buddha points out how they are spiritually blind to think in this way, for the body itself is suffering. The Buddha uttered the whole verse now, right? The greatest of all gains is health. Nibbana is the greatest bliss. The eightfold path is the best of paths, for it leads to safety, to the deathless. That is Nibbana. Now, when this was said, Magandiya is finally convinced and his attachment to the body has disappeared. Now, I have taken only a few of the similes, right? But when you read the Magandiya Sutta, you will come across all the similes that Buddha used with the leper, right? So, and his attachment to the body has disappeared now, so that he wants to listen to the Buddha. Earlier, he was not interested in what the Buddha was saying. For now, he is not the Buddha's opponent, but has gained confidence in the Buddha. So now the Buddha, but the Buddha does not, accept him straight away. He does not want to teach him straight away. So the Dhamma. So the Buddha insists that a blind person still needs to recover his eyesight in order to really see. Meaning that one has to be eager to live the spiritual life under the Buddha and understand his teachings. Magandiya confesses that he has been fooled for a long time by wrong teachings and now wants to have right view, the first factor of the Noble Eightfold Path. The Buddha clarifies that Magandiya has a mistaken notion of Nibbana. And to attain actual Nibbana, one has to practice the Dhamma. True health is found when we can enjoy a bliss greater than physical pleasure, and we are not dependent on bodily sensual pleasure. It's an inward bliss where the senses are not involved, and no longer do we need things and people for that kind of bliss. With such spiritual power, we are in a position to help others as we have discovered spiritual help. The Magandiya Sutta is about pleasure derived from the senses, but it also expresses that there is a spiritual happiness or pleasure that is much higher than this mundane pleasure. It also tells us that our immediate experience received through the senses is not the true reality, and it only limits us, makes a boundary around us, so that we cannot think beyond that. When we understand our senses and our minds better, we are able to see how we could free ourselves from their clutch. If we are able to see clearly the rising and falling of the mental formations. Now, when we do the breath, we see the physical formations. So when we see the mental formations also, how our mind, falls and rises and falls, we will see that it's only the present moment that is real. And even that passes away quickly, so that there is no past and no future. Now I'm going to use the text to read out to you a little from the text itself, so that you will understand better. Now, after the Buddha has used all these similes and given Magandiya a dose of not yet the Dhamma, but sort of tell him what it is, how different it is from what he thinks. Now he says, I have confidence in Master Gotama. Thus, Master Gotama is capable of teaching me the Dhamma in such a way that I might rise up from this seat, cured of my blindness. Because Buddha said that first of all, one must clear the blindness or clean the eye in order to understand the Dhamma. So Buddha gives this advice. Then Magandiya, associate with true men. It is good for us to associate with good people. When you associate with true men, you will hear the true Dhamma. When you hear the true Dhamma, you will practice in accordance with the true Dhamma. When you practice in accordance with the true Dhamma, you will know and see for yourself thus. These are diseases, the senses are diseases, tumors, and darts. But here these diseases, tumors, and darts cease without remainder. With the cessation of my clinging, when he ceases to cling to them, comes cessation of being. Then I will stop, going in samsara. With the cessation of being, cessation of birth. I will not be born again. With the cessation of birth, aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair cease. All those will cease. Such is the cessation of this whole mass of suffering. So this is what the Buddha advises Magandiya. Now Magandiya says, now this part you find in many, many suttas, at the end of the suttas. When this was said, the wanderer Magandiya said, magnificent Master Gotama, magnificent. Master Gotama. Master Gotama has made the Dhamma clear in many ways, as though he were turning upright what had been overthrown, revealing what was hidden, showing the way to one who has lost the way, or holding up a lamp in the dark for those with eyesight to see forms. I go to Master Gotama for refuge, and to the Dhamma, and to the Sangha of bhikkhus. I would receive the going forth under Master Gotama. I would receive the full ordination. So, the Buddha actually gives him the ordination, and then after striving, not for a long time, he is able to attain arahantship. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So that is the Magandiya Sutta. Have you any questions? Please ask if you have any questions, even if the question is a little, difficult or easy or whatever. Doesn't matter. Just ask if you have anything. Or if you don't believe in what is said there. Also, you could disagree. No? No, no question? Imarka? Okay. So, would you like to do a little meditation? Now, today I thought, since we have been doing this about the senses, you might like to do a meditation based on the senses, right? Now, this I have really taken from the Anathapindika Sutta. But I will be doing only a little bit of that because it's very wide and very deep. So I will take a little bit which I want to share with you. So please sit down then for a little meditation. Sit comfortably, relaxed, and take a few deep breaths. Are you ready now? Okay. I now listen carefully and try to get the meaning and follow the meditation, right? I will not cling to the I. I will not cling to the I. E-Y-E. When I say cling, that means you might find that there is something wrong with the eye, or that there is a pain in the eye or something. But just forget about all that and think, I'm not going to cling to it. I'll just let go of all the pain and desire and clinging that I had for this I. I will not cling to the ear. In the same way, maybe there is something in the ear that you want to cling to. I will not cling to the ear. I will not cling to the nose. I will not cling to the tongue. I will not cling to the body. I will not cling to the mind. So we have looked at all the senses and we have given up clinging to them. Now, let's take the objects. I will not cling to forms. The forms that we see with the eye, I will not cling to sounds. I will not cling to odors, smells, positive or negative, good or bad. No clinging. Either way, wanting or repulsing. I will not cling to flavors, liking one taste, disliking another taste. I will not cling to them. I will not cling to tangibles, what you can touch. I will not cling to mind objects. That may be thoughts, views, concepts, perceptions, anything, memories. I will not cling to mind objects. I will not cling to I consciousness. You know, now these three have to come together: the faculty, sense faculty, the object, and the consciousness. So when it comes to the I, it becomes I consciousness. So I will not cling to the I consciousness. I will not cling to the ear consciousness. I will not cling to the nose consciousness. I will not cling to tongue consciousness. I will not cling to body consciousness. I will not cling to mind consciousness. Now go back and forth and see the three things that we have discussed and how we have let go of them. The I and all the senses, the faculties, they are objects like forms and sounds and so on, and the consciousness for each one. Take a minute or two to think about these three things that you have let go of them. Slowly open your eyes. What do you feel now? Do you feel unburdened? Not immediately, right? But if you do this every day, you might feel unburdened by, all these sensors. Sort of, they are like the leper's, wounds. They are like the leper's wounds. So think of them in those terms. Then you will lose the desire for them. Okay, so that's it. Any questions? No? No question? Then you know that now we have entered the Vassa. And this is now today is the day on which we enter the Vassa. And from this day until October, we will be observing the Vassa. So this is the time when both monastics and lay people come together, because the monastics are not now, actually we don't do that, but monastics are not supposed to go on alms round during this rains retreat. This is called the rains retreat, the Vassa. So this is the time that the monastics are and the lay people, they come together in many ways. Like the lay people might bring dana, they might, see to the comfort of the monastics and so on and so forth. So it is a time of very great unity and, it's a time of bringing together these two, uh, kinds of people. So with that, I think I will close then. Thank you all for coming, and I hope that the sensuous desires can be lessened. Okay, thank you very much. And may all of you be well, happy, and peaceful.
Thank you very much. Therwan Saranai.
Tunran Saranai.
Therwan Saranai.
Tunran Saranai.